I told her, Eden, you know, there's so much going on. All you have to worry about is what mom and dad need you to do. I said, let us worry. Let us do the worry. You don't have to worry about that. And as Jen was speaking, as we go into worship tonight, the same thing applies with our Father in heaven, right? There's so much that we want to worry about, and he says, cast your anxiety upon me. Cast your care upon me. He's literally saying the same thing I'm saying to my daughter, he's saying to us tonight. And so, how many would say we just have a lot of anxiety going on, right? Right? And I think that is exactly where the enemy would like to hold us tonight. And the powerful thing about worship is when we enter into his presence, we are literally saying, okay, Lord, it's all yours. You are worthy of our attention. You're worthy of our worship. You're worthy of our praise. You're worthy and able to carry my worry tonight. So let's close our eyes just for a moment and just say, Father God, just in these few moments, can we just give it all to you? I can't carry it on my own. Can we just give it to you, Lord? And maybe you just want to say, I love you, God. I'm so thankful that I have you to run to tonight. And I feel your warm embrace around me tonight, just holding me in the midst of chaos in this world. You are peace, you are love, you are joy. And in your presence, in my weakness, your strength is made perfect. I love you, Jesus. Amen. Now look up here. I want you to look to the person next to you, and I just want you to say, hey, we're going to give it all to God tonight, okay? Give it all to God. All right. So Matt and I put together a couple worship songs tonight, and you guys are probably one of our last gatherings for a little bit in this room, you know, and we'll be having to do church online probably this weekend as churches have had to cancel services. And we want to do that, one, because we love people. And why would we stay open if they would say that might hurt somebody else? And so this weekend, we're going to be exploring how to do that. Thankfully, we have the technology. Matt and I have been talking today. Thankfully, we'll be online. We're online right now, and people are watching that maybe we're fearful of coming out tonight. And so as we worship, let's worship the Lord together. I'm glad you're here in community tonight. Let's worship. Say that with me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Can you hear it? Whoa. Here we go. It wasn't for nothing that you shed your blood. So I'm gonna live like my shame is gone. Won't be shackled to the way I was. I'm gonna live like my chains are gone. Gone. Now my sin is dead and gone, and I sing hallelujah. Say done, done, done. He is risen, it is done, and I sing hallelujah. Praise is a weapon that will overcome. I'm gonna shout like the battle's won. Fall back, devil, 'cause your time is up. I'm gonna live like the storm is gone, gone. Now my sin is dead and gone, and I sing hallelujah. Say done, done, done. righteousness of God. Oh, oh, say that again. How great the power of the blood. Oh, oh, and I am the righteousness of God. Oh, oh, gone. Now my sin is dead and gone, and I sing hallelujah. Done, done. He is risen, it is done, and I sing hallelujah. Gone, gone. Now my sin is dead and gone, and I sing hallelujah. Sing that one last time. Done, done, done. He is risen, it is done, and I sing hallelujah. Good job, ladies. This is one of my favorite songs right now in worship, and just let's worship together as we sing. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. Sing that again. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. I worship you. Sing, you are here. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Sing, you are waymaker. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. That sounds great, ladies. Sing it out. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. Sing it to him. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, you're turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. I don't see it. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. Never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. That is who you are. That is who you are. Would you close your eyes with me this evening? Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. Never stop. And I don't know if you're here tonight and you're just thinking, I just don't see it, Shane. I feel like giving up. Even when we don't see it, God is a plan. Even today, in the midst of the chaos of everything, the close of school, maybe the change of your plans, maybe things that are disappointing tonight, you didn't realize, but God was protecting you from something or making a way for you to do something else that He needs you to do. And today, even if you don't see it, even if you don't feel it, claim it tonight that God is working in your life. Just with your eyes closed, sing. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. Never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. Never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Father God, you are such an awesome God. The God who creates the heavens and the earth, the mountains that rise out of the ground and touch the sky. This incredible, awesome God is the God who is concerned about each of the details of our lives. Who is concerned tonight about the chaos in our world, is concerned about those who are stricken with the virus that is spreading across the world, those that are grieving tonight the loss of family and loved ones, as we see those that are suffering in other countries around the world, God, our brothers and sisters. You are a God who cares, and though I don't understand the sadness and the mystery of this world, I know, God, it was not your plan to have sickness here. It was not your plan to have dying. And we're so thankful, God, that you loved us so much in the chaos of this world that you sent your Son so that we could have a new kind of life, a life that would go on and on with you in eternity, and that we would live forever. And God, the message of hope of that is so important in these days. And we want to sing it from the top of our lungs that because of your Son, our sin is dead and gone. It is done. And we praise you for that. Thank you for making a way for each of us. Now tonight, God, Would you use Andrea's story of those moments where she was in chaos and wanted to give up? And it was crazy. God, and she clung to you, and you were making a way for her family. Would you transform this space now, God, from a place where we ate together to a place where your sanctuary, where you could just move and we can laugh and we can cry and we can worship you together. We ask this in your most powerful name, Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen. I invite you to be seated, ladies. A few years back, I had this great privilege of meeting Andrea. And oh, by the way, thanks for letting Matt and I kind of jump in tonight on the all-girls night. Randy, Matt, and I are kind of hijacking the night here. So, but just such a joy to be able to introduce Andrea. About a year ago, met with Andrea to hear of a new album that she was launching, and in that 1 year from then till now, she has been able to pursue a ministry that she's always dreamed about. She stepped out on faith, and beyond the insecurities that she had at that time, was challenged by some other people in her lives to step forward and make herself available, and God has given her many opportunities. Just recently saw one of her videotapings of where she was, and God is using her, and you can join with me in praying for Andrea's ministry as she shares and is continuing to grow, and it is a privilege to have her as a sister and part of our community. And so tonight, welcome Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you all so very much. We won't hug or anything. He's not going to hug me. Okay. Thank you all so much this evening for coming out. I'm so excited to be here with you and share a little bit about my life. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Andrea Holman, and I'm a singer, songwriter, storyteller. And like Shane said, about 4 years ago, I kind of stepped out on faith to into this moment in time that God called me to, and not knowing really what that looked like. But here I am today, and he has a funny sense of humor, I think, because if I would have known everything he was going to do and make me do in this process, I probably would have said no. And I think a lot of us would. I think that's why he hides some things from us, and that's okay. Are we okay back there? Thank you so much for singing for us this evening. We really appreciate that as well. Like I said, I am Andrea Holman. So I've been married to my husband for 22 years almost. My best friend, his name is Luke. We have 4 children. We have 3 boys and 1 girl. The boys are 20, 17, 13, and the girl is 9, going on 20. If you raise a child of girl, you know exactly what that means. Motherhood for me is, if I'm being honest, a moment of great challenge, great reward. And it's also brought me some of the most joyous moments in my life, as well as the deepest pain that I can really say I've ever experienced in my life as well. For those of you who are moms, or you understand that because you have something that you love more than yourself that you never thought you could. And if you're becoming a mom soon, you're going to find that out real quick. Each relationship in our life is challenging, and it's going to be tested along the way. You have to either decide that you're going to, in the moment it's being challenged, to grow from it or break in it as you're being challenged and tested. This evening, I want to share with you 3 things that I've learned through my time as being a mom. And if I was here talking about everything I've learned all night, we would be here for a really long time. So I'm just going to hold it to 3 if I can. I'm ADHD, so don't hold it against me. If I kind of like go off script, it's okay. The first thing is that you're not ready. Everybody thinks they're ready to be a parent, but you're not. The second is that at some point in time, you're going to realize that you're not quite enough, and you're going to need to level up. And the third, which we have all talked about or thought about at one point in time, although I could be the only one, but if you're being honest, I'm not, your I quit the family moment. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight, is I want to share with you the journey that my family has been on for the last 22 years. Not all of it, but a glimpse into it. And just let you have an idea as to what has happened and how God kind of used the chaos and the crazy and the mess in a beautiful way to make us where we are today. And I think it's for all of us that we have to remember that it's a journey. It's not, one point in time that makes us or breaks us. It's the journey of life that we're on that really builds us and grows us and develops us as a person. A few weeks ago, funny story, my daughter Brooklyn, first time ever playing basketball for a real season, right? So we're in the end of the season, towards the end of the season, and we're getting ready to go into tournament time. But I needed to check something on the practice time, okay? I sent a text to my friend and I said, hey, can you tell me, is practice from 7:30 to 9:30, or is it like 7:15 to 9? I can't remember. And she texted back and said, neither. It's 7:15 to 8:15. Don't you know that? I'm like, well, you would think that it's at the end of the season that I would have known that. But it's really just my crazy life, and I just live in it. I really don't know what's going on half the time. If I get most of my kids to the exact place they're supposed to be, almost on time, that's a win. That's a win for me. So when you're going through this crazy life that you have, this is kind of the mess that you're living in the chaos. And there's no doubt that when you bring the babies home, that there is a new level of crazy that is just really going to hit your life. This sweet little bundle of joy is going to come home with you, and it's going to disrupt everything you know. Everything you know in your life. The parents who are with me, who are a little bit ragged around the edges and a little tired and walk a little slower because we feel like a pack mule most of our time, we share a secret little smile because we know that the new parents coming are going to join us on this wonderful journey, this exciting journey, right? And we're hoping that at some point in time you come to us and we're able to encourage you and love on you and laugh at you. Laugh with you, and be able to share in this journey and this experience that you have together. As a new parent, there's a lot of excitement and anxiety, okay, that you go through in life. And it's kind of like that with any relationships, your first relationships and things that you have with your friends. There's always that newness of a relationship and excitement and anxiety as you go through all the, finding out what they like and what they don't like and what restaurants you can eat at and if this one's gluten-free. And like everybody has all these things that we have to go around and manage in a relationship, right? But I love it like when you take your kid to the doctor. This is always a good one for me. You get up there and you're in the doctor's office and you promise that there's no shots, that this is just a checkup. And then, of course, the nurse walks in with the needle. This is where the ice cream bribery begins, okay? There's also those moments that you come and you get a diagnosis from the doctor that you weren't really expecting, that you have to manage through as well. And there's always the fun part when your teenager comes home and says, hey, Mom, Dad, I got a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And I'm like, no, you don't. You thought you did, but you don't. I'm going to tell you that right now. Sorry. All these experiences that you have to learn on your own. There's really no set process. You have to get through the victories and the challenges and all of these things on your own. There's really no video or book or magazine that can prepare you for when your child projectile vomits across the floor. There's just not. There's no way to understand that when you're changing a diaper and you're in the middle of that process, that you need to change the diaper again because there's just some stuff happening, some things going on. These are all things that you have to learn on the job. It's on the job training. So you have to experience this for yourself. My stories of motherhood are enough to make you kind of chuckle and cringe and cry kind of all at the same time. My husband and I, we have experienced a lot in the last 22 years of our time together. And if you will allow me, I'm going to read because a lot of times I forget myself some of the things that we've actually been through. My close friends who are here this evening will laugh a little bit because they know the stories behind a lot of these things. So let me set the stage for you. 22 years of marriage, being a mom for 20 years. 4 pregnancies, all with bed rest, months of bed rest. 4 C-sections, months of shots to stay pregnant, an emergency C-section, and 2 miscarriages. The following diagnoses, now keep up: cerebral palsy, ADD, sensory issues, ADHD, anxiety, PTSD, separation anxiety, hemangiomas, tracheal stenosis, asthma, Crohn's disease, hemochromatosis, plus years of therapy and treatment plans on a weekly basis that we had to go through to manage all of this, along with skin cancer scare for myself and multiple surgeries for my husband and I. And that's just to date. Like, the challenges keep on coming. You know, that's just going to keep on coming. That's where it's happening. And that's a lot to manage. For us, every diagnosis we got for the kids just seemed to make life a little bit less bright. It started to affect us. It hurt. We saw dreams that we had for our family, for our kids, kind of like fade. Some of the things that we thought were going to happen, and it just didn't look quite the same. But at the same time, new dreams emerged. They blossomed. They took growth. Somehow, through all the pain and all the hurt, we were able to emerge on the other side of that. But how was that really possible? It wasn't from us. We had nothing on our own accord to be able to make that happen. It was our faith in God that really carried us through those times. He was the one that brought us back to the fact that we could recognize the joy and the blessing that we had through all of this trials and all the challenges that we faced in our time together. I wasn't ready for any of it. Nobody can be ready for it. You could never sit and look at your life and say, I'm gonna face that and it's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna work out okay. You're never prepared. You can try to be prepared and be ready if you're tied into the right source. But if you're not tied into the right source, you really don't have a chance. I remember thinking at one point in time that God must have really thought I was a very strong woman to give me all this crazy in my life. Has anybody else ever been there? Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. But I ran away from God for years, over 15 years, before I ever called on his name again or asked for his strength to help me really with anything, with the big stuff. He wants a relationship with each of us. That's what he has waiting for us. He wants us to lean into him and to grow closer. And I can't, even the words that were in the song tonight and the prayer from Jen and the words that you were saying, Shane, all of that was just tied in. And I thought, oh, that's so on mark. That's so on mark for everything I was going to be talking about tonight. And that was God putting all that together, because we had not planned that even before this event happened this evening when we showed up. I want you to understand that if you get off track, don't think for a minute that God doesn't know what's happening in your life, that you can't get back on track again, that your life and your situation and your challenges and the things that you're going through, no matter what they are, that he doesn't care, that he doesn't listen to you when you cry out and you pray to him, and when you have so much pain in your life that you can't even speak, that the Holy Spirit has to intercede for you to speak to him because you can't find the words. There's a reason that we're here. There's a purpose that we're here. We have a purpose to fulfill, each of us do. There's a plan to what he has for each of us. And when you think you have nothing left and you're in that crushing moment and you're suffocating and you're in the bottom of the barrel, I'm here to tell you that you do have something left. And he sees it in you. Because that's where I was. I was ready to quit. If you've been in that place before, I'm really glad you're here tonight. 2 Timothy 1:6 and 7, I'm paraphrasing some. I think they're putting it on the screen or maybe not, but you can look it up. 2 Timothy 1:6 and 7. It says, "Wherefore I put in thee in remembrance, that thou stir up the gift of God, which is in thee. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Now, sound mind can also be translated to discipline, which the good Lord knows I suffer with that when I have a hard time being disciplined, and I have a hard time with control. I have a hard time with some things that I have to work on, that I've had to work on for years, and I've had to learn that lesson over and over and over again, and it is not fun. But I've had to learn it over and over again. He gave that to us. He put it in us, that power and that love and that strength and that sound mind, if you can find it and grasp onto it. It's there. Life is full of unexpected challenges, opportunities, and adventures. As parents, our kids look to us for that peace and that reassurance and that calm. But how can we offer it to them when we're lost in ourselves and we can't find it for ourselves? If we're pulled away from the source that gives us that power and that strength and that love and that grace and that mercy and encouragement, everything that we need. It's okay to ask for help. It took me a really long time to realize that as well. It's okay to ask for help, to reach out to a friend, to reach out to someone, to say, "I'm drowning. I'm suffocating. I don't even, it hurts to breathe." Don't think for a minute that you have to sit there in silence and suffer. Don't get so comfortable in the place that you are, in your pain and in your guilt and in your self-doubt, that you make it easy, so easy, to continue to go down and spiral down. You have to seek the source. The struggle isn't over. The challenge is always coming. But hopefully what happens is we're seeking the right source, and we're able to tie into that, and we can get and seek our peace through it. And that's how you find the peace, is seeking God. Have you ever heard the phrase, level up? It's everywhere right now. Entrepreneurs say it. They have the top 3 things that you can do today to level up your business. Athletes, they're always trying to level up their game, right? I'm gonna eat this nutrition bar. I'm gonna drink this. I'm gonna bulk up. Yeah. I'm gonna level up my game. At some point in time, you're gonna figure out that you may need to level up your game too. Maybe you don't have just quite enough, and you could use a little bit more strength and a little bit more power, right? In the Bible, it talks about leveling up. I don't know if you knew that. When I started looking for stories to level up, it was really pretty awesome. There's a lot that we could talk about. One of my favorites is the lady who was really sick. She'd been sick for over 12 years. And she knew that as Jesus passed through the town, that if she just leaned out and touched the hem of his robe, that surely she would be healed. She leveled up because she had faith. We're going to talk about Mary and Martha, 2 sisters from Luke 10:38 through 42. I'm going to paraphrase the whole story. For those of you who don't know it, you can look it up, or for those of you who do know it, you can look it up and maybe think of it a little bit differently. But these 2 sisters were very close. Martha, she had invited Jesus into her home and the disciples. They were there for food and rest. During the evening, she found herself alone and anxious and kind of overwhelmed with all of her to-do list, things that she had to do. And she got really upset because she couldn't find her sister anywhere, Mary. So she goes to look for Mary, and she finds her sitting at the feet of Jesus. She was upset. She was in the kitchen working, doing what was expected of her because she was being a hostess with the mostess. And Mary was off not doing what she was supposed to be doing in her mind. So she went to Jesus. Step 1 for her, she gets 1 point. She knew at least 2 to go to complain. She knew who had the power. She goes to Jesus to complain about her sister. And she walked over to him and told him. Yes, I said she told him. Have you ever told God anything? It's like, hey, God, if you'll just look right over here at this right here that's going on, I can fix this real quick if you would just give me a minute, and I'm going to help you. I love to try to help him along. I think he needs my help sometimes, right? I think we all do, maybe. But he doesn't. He doesn't need our help. So when Martha walked over and told Jesus, don't you care? I'm in here alone working. Don't you care that my sister is not helping me? Tell her to come and help me. And Jesus said to her, Martha, Martha, you are basically busy with many things, but there's only one thing needed. Mary has chosen the good portion, and it will not be taken from her. Now, it wasn't that Jesus didn't care about what Martha was going through in that time, but he wasn't going to take away from Mary what she had chosen because it was the best portion. It was the good portion. Mary got it. She got it. She was sitting at the feet of Jesus, learning, listening to his teaching, connecting, making a relationship with him. She got it. She recognized the moment for what it was. It wasn't every day Jesus was going to walk into her house and sit down and teach. She recognized it for a profound moment that it was. And she soaked it in. And boldly, might I add, because she wasn't supposed to be learning from Jesus. It was reserved for men. You only, in that time, in that era, women weren't really taught about those things. So not only was she bold in how she chose to level up, she was bold in when she did it. She did it right in the middle of all the men, and she didn't care. She went against the cultural expectation. Now, Jesus did, of course, care about Mary or Martha with what she was going through. But he was really trying to lovingly teach her in that moment that you're worried about a lot of things that are distracting you. And yes, it's important, that thing that you're trying to do, but it's not important in this moment, this profound moment. He wanted her to focus. He wanted her to focus on him. Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. There was a long time in my life where I really felt like the Martha. I was stressed out. I was overwhelmed, full of anxiety. Everything looked fine from the outside, but it really wasn't. I was doing 2 jobs, as if one being a mother, stay-at-home mother full-time wasn't enough, right? So I was an overachiever. I had to have an outside job from home, and I had to have an inside job at home. So I did 2 jobs. I had 2 careers. I was dressed, which for most new moms, you all know that is a plus. My hair was done. I would go to work. Everything would be fine. And sometimes I actually even got a hot meal on the dinner table, and that was a good day for me. But I was glimpsing my life through like a haze of all these diagnoses for our kids. And I really wasn't the person that I started out being years before that, before the kids. And we change, don't get me wrong, we change, we grow, we morph, But my change really wasn't, I can say, in a good way, because I was having such a hard time with all the challenges that were hitting my life. And I knew where to go to. I knew where my source was. I've known Jesus from a very young age. I've known him my whole life. But I did not want to deal with the pain it was going to take to get me right with him. I wasn't there yet. I wasn't seeking any relationship with him at all. I didn't need one more thing to do on my to-do list. I was full up. I was good to go. God kept me connected through the whole time. He knew what my weakness was. I love people. Can you tell? I love people. So I was able to mentor people and coach people, and I could hear myself literally telling others and giving them the advice that I needed to take, but I wasn't going to take it. I wasn't ready yet. I could feel the shift coming in my life, needing Him to make it happen. But some days, really, it was just too difficult for me to breathe. We didn't communicate well in the home often. There was a lot of yelling or, like, higher vocalization. A lot of yelling going on in the house. Some days I found that before my son was actually diagnosed with ADHD, that we really would go out and people just really didn't understand like what was happening and what was going on with him. And I kind of got it because I didn't really understand some of it either. We kind of had a clue, but not so much. Prior to our third son's diagnosis, we were really kind of held captive in our life. We had like a 20-minute window for us to be able to, go out and do something and then get back in really quick where nobody saw us, because he had about a 20-minute window that he could really tolerate and be around people, and that was it. So on the days that we had like the hard days, it was like the loud outburst and the tantrums, and Luke would tell me to be quiet because I was causing a scene. Those were my tantrums. But we would go out and take him outside, and people would just glare. You feel it. You feel the glares on you, right? So we were really held captive for quite a long time. By the time he was actually diagnosed, and we had gone through all the medications and all the therapy and all the things that we needed to do for him, we were kind of at the end of our rope. Luke and I both were. And we weren't just at the end of the rope. We were like barely hanging on to the rope, and we're kind of like sliding off the edge of the cliff. We were buried. Luke worked a really long career all day, like 12-hour days for years. From the time I met him, this is what he did. 10, 12-hour days, sometimes 14, 16. It just depended on the season and what was going on. So I worked all day, would go home, do the daycare pickup, do the dinner, do the therapy, do the medicines, do the baths, do the homework, do all of those things. Get finished with that, have a minute hopefully to be able to sit down to myself, and then usually Luke would come in from the day. He would go and he would say hi to the kids, give them a kiss goodnight, say their prayers with them too, and then tuck them into bed, get his dinner. And then basically we'd both sit down on the couch, and we were exhausted. We were just sitting there. And then he would give me that look. You know that look. He still wanted to have sex with me. I was exhausted. But there was always energy for that. So begins the struggle of how you fit in your life, being married with kids and working. How do you fit everything in when you've given and given and given, and you're just exhausted, in that circle? I have to state here that we had many blessings along the way. Of course, I feel like I'm talking a lot about the horribleness of like what we were in from the emotional, pitfall that we were suffering. But we had plenty of blessings. We had family, we had friends, we had our kids were really, really wonderful kids. It's just that we had a lot of things that we had to work through, and we were fumbling around trying to figure out how to do it all, and making decisions for a child that you knew were going to affect them the rest of their life as they grew up into adulthood. So there was no pressure, at all. No pressure. It was tough. Our third son was the biggest challenge of my motherhood years. Now, and he knows this, and he has heard this speech many times, and we laugh about it, and he thinks he's famous. Or he will be famous. And we talk about this a lot because it really was the point in our life, in our family, that kind of started the change to take place. because of everything that we had endured. We were able to kind of finally get to this point and then move forward. This child, if there was a button, he pushed it. If there was a line in the sand, he would cross it and he would make a new one just for spite. If the answer was a hard no, he ignored it. He was the bull in the china shop, like on steroids. It was literally probably through the grace of God only that me and him both survived his childhood. And I know a few of you sitting here today have kids that are like this, and you know the crazy that it encompasses in your life, in your mental and emotional and spiritual capability to manage a child this way. You've been there and you know what it's like. The years of him hitting and punching me and screaming at me at the top of his lungs, "I hate you," that was the hardest part. But I have to tell you, the first "I hate you," like, yeah, it really kind of like ripped my heart out. It really did. But after that, I was like, hey, I'm not too bad at this mommy thing. I had heard that, every kid should at least say they hate you once, and then you're doing pretty good. So I thought, I'm doing pretty good. He's making up for all the other kids in my family that didn't say they hated me. He's doing it all. He's good. I could feel the reckoning coming within the family. I knew it was coming. Like, you could feel that tidal wave, that surge that's just getting ready to happen, that's just kind of lying there underneath the surface, right? We just really didn't know how far it was going to go before everything kind of blew up in our face. We had all of our hopes and dreams tied up in our kids. When you have kids or relationships, a husband, spouse, family, mom, dad, all of your hopes and dreams are kind of intertwined and connected, right? Our life looked very different than what we had originally thought it was going to be. Everything was just so unexpected and didn't meet the expectations that we had. We were just trying to keep it all together. We put our head down and plowed away, plowed right through it. And we really, really wanted to quit. James 1, 2, and 3 says, "Consider it pure joy. Consider it pure joy, I say, when you face trials of many kind, because you know the testing of your faith produces perseverance." Well, there was some straight up joy in that place, let me tell you. We had a lot of joy going on. Our son, thank God, got to the point where he was able to speak his truth, and he was able to reveal what it was that he needed to say, that we were too terrified to say ourselves. We were all thinking it. We just couldn't say it. He was about 6 or 7. We were debating in a high volume. I don't remember what it was we were debating about. When he turned around, he was so enraged. His face was just bright red, and he was literally spewing the words that were coming out of his mouth at me. And he says, "I quit the family!" Now, as a seasoned parent, I would like to say that I handled this very well, very calmly, very pro-like. That's not what happened. I'm just like him. He and I are just alike. That's why he was so difficult for me to parent. We are so much alike. I could feel this other mother showing up, though. Like, you know who she is. You all have her. She was showing up. She had been stifled and put down and squashed for like a really long time. All the pain, all the sorrow, all the unmet expectations, all the dreams that she didn't see happening for her family, everything that she wanted, everything that we were told no about, all the diagnoses that we received, she was mad. She was angry. And she wanted her day of reckoning. And she was ready for a fight. So I hear myself experiencing this other mother that shows up inside of me. And she says, "Oh, hell no! You don't get to quit the family. Nobody gets to quit the family. I'm not quitting, and you ain't quitting either." And I was so angry and shaking and mad and upset. I was sweating. And I felt like I was going to throw up. Not because he said it, but because he was right. We had all quit. In one way or another. We'd either emotionally shut down, stifled our own emotions, pushed others away, or just gave up. Quit listening, quit talking, quit communicating. We'd all quit. But it was just him being able to voice his truth about it. He was bold enough to say it that changed the quit for our family. It was him. Have you ever been there? You wanted to quit? I see some of you laughing. I know you have. Our life did look different than we expected. It was spiraling out of control. But there was so much joy and laughter and so many blessings that happened in it as well. But we were just so overcome with everything going on around us and unfocused that we almost missed it. We almost missed the profound moment because we were so unfocused on where we needed to be focused on. I'm so glad that my life didn't turn out, and my family life didn't turn out, and my role as a wife didn't turn out the way I expected it. Because God had so many better plans than I could have ever got for myself. I couldn't have dreamed big enough. I couldn't have asked for more love. We had to go through the mess to get to where we were going to be able to make the change, to be able to pivot and say our focus is going to be on God now. We never would have gotten there, though, if we hadn't gone through the mess. Each moment in our life is part of us. From the beginning to the end, we carry it with us, no matter what it is, no matter what's happened. The goods, the bads, the ugly, all of it. We take it with us. We carry it with us, right? It can break us or grow us. It's how we respond to it that makes the difference. My family's been through a lot, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well. I know many of your all stories as I look out at you. And even when you don't feel God there, just like the song said tonight, He's there. He's waiting for you. He's lovingly and patiently waiting for you to turn back to Him, to seek Him again, to focus on Him again. It doesn't matter if you're spiritually or physically or emotionally held down in this dark place. God has the ability to shine this light right where you are to find you, to help you be led out when you're focusing on Him. When you can't find the words that you need to say, lean on Him. Use Him. Use His words, His strength, His power, His love, His mercy to be able to get you to that next place, to bring you to that next level that you need to go to readjust and realign your focus. He has a family waiting for you that's a no-quit family. And I wonder if everyone knows what that looks like. Do you have a no-quit family? Are you plugged into the right source so that you can level up to get to that next place that you may need to be? Are you bold enough and willing enough to ask for help, to lean into Him, to lean into those around you who are willing to help as well and to guide you and mentor you and love you, but know where to go to for the right source? The challenges are going to keep coming, and we don't have to be ready for them because He is. We just have to know where to be and who to be in so that we can make it to that next place we need to go. I wonder if tonight that you're going to be bold like Mary when you walk out of here. I was always pretty boisterous. People who know me know that. I'm not a shy person, pretty loud. I laugh a lot. I hug people. I make people uncomfortable sometimes. I really do. I'm just a very outgoing person. And I think I'm a lot for somebody. If you're not a morning person, yeah, I'm a lot. I'm a lot. But I wanted to be bold like Mary. And being bold like her doesn't necessarily look boisterous and loud. Maybe that's not your style. Maybe God really didn't call you to be that way. And that's okay, because there's only one of me. There's only one of you, each of you. I can't be Barb. You can't be me. We're all called to be our own person in Him. So I wonder tonight, if you don't know Him, if you're bold enough that you would say to yourself, where am I at? Let me get real with myself. Where am I at today? Let me look inside and say, show me, God, the boldness that I need to step out in faith and to be what you need me to be who you've called me to be. I don't need the world's cultural expectations of who they say I need to be, what I need to look like, who I need to talk to, or who I need to seek for counsel. I want to be bold like Mary. I want to be bold like me, like you, because you have it in you. He's put His power, His strength, and His love, His peace and His joy. Everything is hidden right there waiting in your heart. He's given that to you as a child of His when you have a relationship with Him. And that's really what my story is about. Even though I knew God from a very young age, I wandered really, really far away. I was lost for a really long time with everything happening around me, all the crazy, all the chaos. But He never gave up on me. He never quit. And once you become part of His family, you can't quit Him. He has a no-quit family waiting for you. I hope this evening, as we go into our ladies' quiet time, well, it's not quiet. You know that, girls. It's loud. We get loud in here. But I hope this evening, as you go into your quiet time, that you would discuss some of the questions that we have that we're going to give to you up on the board, and really think about this evening how you can be bolder in your life, how you can recognize those moments, those profound moments in your life that make the difference, those I quit the family moments that maybe you wish you could turn back the time and just take that back. So if you have some of those, how do you recognize them now, today, and how do you move forward with that? So I hope you have a very good end of the evening here, and I pray that something that I have said that has resonated with you and that you have learned something that you're able to take with you and God can use to press into your heart as you lean into Him and get to know Him better in the relationship with Him, because that's really what matters, and that's really what brought me and Luke to the place we are in our family. We're still learning, we're still growing, we're getting there. We're not by any stretch of the imagination done. We're not close to where we need to be, but we're getting up every day and we're trying and we're seeking. And that's what God wants from us. He wants us to lean into Him and seek that relationship with Him. So this evening, as you're going into discussion, I pray that for you, that you can lean into Him and seek Him. Thank you so much.